Welcome to Efiwe, excellence without stress.
Welcome guys to Efiwe, excellence without stress. I am Miss Favor, your use of English teacher, and I am happy to be here. Imagine proposing to your girlfriend of 5 years and instead of a yes, you get a no. I'm sure that would hurt. Or you get, of course, I will marry you. Now, whether you get a no or of course, what you got is the antonym and synonym of yes, respectively. And that will lead us to our topic, antonyms and synonyms. For today's lesson, we'll be looking at this content. Firstly, what are antonyms? Words and their antonyms. Examples of antonyms in sentences. What are synonyms? Words and their synonyms. And finally, examples of synonyms in sentences. So let's get right into it. What are antonyms? Antonyms are simply words of opposite meaning. That means when a word is placed, what is the opposite of that word? For example, close is an antonym of open, in the same way that hot is an antonym of cold. Now, there are things to note in antonyms when discussing antonyms. Firstly is that a word can have more than one antonym. That means that a word is not limited to having just one opposite. For example, disbelief and doubt are antonyms of belief. Also, in answering questions on antonyms, you must remember that a particular word may have more than one meaning. Now, how you determine the antonym is based on context. That's the environment of usage, where it is used within the text. For example, the word sober could mean solemn. It could mean dull. It could mean serious or not drunk. All of these are dependent on where it is used. Now let's look at this sentence. I hardly ever see Ken sober. In the context of this sentence, that in this sentence now, the context, sober here refers to not drunk. That's when you say somebody is sober, the person is not affected by the influence of alcohol. Now, knowing that this is the context of usage here, it is very easy for us to pick out the antonym. Option A, we have drunk. B, dry. C, frightened. D, unsound. So it's very easy to see that the option here is A. That is the correct option. I hardly ever see Ken sober. So as opposed to being sober, we have drunk. That means Ken is always drunk. We'll get right into the next thing. We're looking at examples of words, some words and their antonyms. The first word we have here is pleasure. And just like I said previously, that a word could have more than one antonym. So we can see that here. Pleasure, we have displeasure as the first antonym. We have pain. We have misery. The second word we have is harmony. Harmony, and the antonyms are discord, disunity or conflict. We have benevolent. Benevolent refers to someone who is kind. When we say someone is benevolent, that means they are kind. Now, the antonyms of benevolent, here we have malevolent, we have cruel, we have unkind. We have guest and host. Heavy, light. Familiar, strange. Entrance, we have exit. Fresh, we have still. Now let's look at that fresh again. You know, fresh, just like I said, a word can have more than one meaning. But the fresh here is referring to food. Probably food that is uncooked or food that is not yet boiled. And the opposite is stale. That is food that is no longer fresh. We also have famous. and the opposite being unknown, liberty, and we have slavery as the antonym. So now let's look at some examples of antonyms in sentences. The first sentence we have here, Aku was livid when she saw her results. And we have options A to D. A, we have furious, B, hopeful, C, delighted, and D, sad. Now, what does livid mean? Livid means great anger, and we are looking for the antonym. So it's very easy to pick out the answer. The correct option here is option C. That's the opposite. If you're not angry, you can be delighted. So Aku was delighted when she saw her results. The second example we have here, one of the students bought a plagiarized copy of the book. Plagiarized is something that is not original. So just by knowing the definition, we already have our answer. We know what the opposite is. But we have options A, an original, B, a revised, C, an annotated, and D, a used. So one of the students bought an original copy of the book. A is the correct option. Number 3, his gift to the poor was always infinitesimal. Infinitesimal means something that is very small, very minute. And our options here, we have A, large, B, small, C, supportive, and D, shameful. So the correct option is A. His gift to the poor was always large. So large here is the opposite of infinitesimal. That is the antonym. Now let's move right into synonyms. What are synonyms? Synonyms are words of similar or identical meaning. When you have a word that you can use to replace another word and they will mean the same thing or almost the same thing, that's identical or similar meaning. Just like we stated in antonyms, it's also very important to note that even when answering questions on synonyms, a particular word may have more than one meaning, and it is still the context of usage that you're going to use to determine the correct option. For example, let's look at the word gay in this sentence. We had a gay old time at the party. Now, you know that the word gay could mean so many things. Gay means cheerful. Gay means jolly. Gay could also mean homosexual. But now, looking at this word based on context, you cannot pick option A and say we had a homosexual old time at the party. It makes no sense. So you're going to pick the synonym based on the context of usage. We had a gay old time at the party. It's already enough for you to know that the gay we are referring to here is not the homosexual kind of gay. So it is the lively kind of gay. That means we had a lively time at the party. We had a good time. And what the word that is close to lively here is jolly. So option B is our correct answer. And remember that we made this selection based on context. So now we're going to look at some words and their synonyms. The first word we have here, emancipate. That means to free from something. Another word that we can use if we do not want to use emancipate is liberate. We have faith. Here, faith refers to predestination. So, and the synonym here is destiny. We have hold and we have grip. We have bold and we have courageous. We have dishonest and we have fraudulent. We have desire and we have yearn. There's enemy and adversary. We have afraid and frightened. We have dangerous and hazardous. We have frank and candid. Let's look at examples of synonyms in sentences. Number 1, the situation was simply exaggerated. Now, first of all, what's the meaning of exaggerate? Exaggerate is to make something bigger than it is. So to exaggerate something, to big up a matter. Now, let's look at our options. Option A is raised. Option B is amplified. Option C, underrepresented. And D, ignored. And we're looking for the word that is similar in meaning to exaggerated. The correct option here is option B. Amplified means to exaggerate. So the situation was simply amplified. Number 2, he has a melancholic nature. Melancholy refers to sadness or depression. By that definition already, we know what our answer is. Now let's look at our options. A, mischievous. B, bad. C, sad. D, fraudulent. So the synonym of melancholic in this sentence with the options we've been given is C, sad. So C is our correct option. And number 3, the events of his life appeared fated. Now, remember our previous definition of fate, something that has to do with destiny, predestination. So the events of his life appeared fated. Now, from options A to D, we are to choose the synonym, the word that is closest in meaning to fated. A, we have unusual. B, we have unpredictable. C, we have destined. And D, we have commonplace. The correct option here is option C. So, in place of saying the events of his life appeared fated, we can say the events of his life appeared destined. And the meaning of our sentence will not be altered. So we have come to the end of our lesson on antonyms and synonyms. So guys, all you have to do now to answer the remaining questions on antonyms and synonyms is to simply go to download the app. There you're going to get so many questions to practice what you've learned on synonyms and antonyms. And I will see you next time.